Well, I want to talk a little bit about, you talk about liver congestion.
Yes.
Talk about what that is. How does somebody know that they have it? And then go into detoxification.
Yes.
What's a good way to do that?
My simple diagnostic question for those that want to know if they have liver congestion. You ready? Are you breathing? Yeah, the answer is yes?
Yes.
Okay, we got to work
I
on
would
your liver.
imagine.
Now, the reason I say that is because we're living in a toxic world. It's much radically different since the dawn of the Industrial Revolution. We've added things in the environment from a petrochemical perspective, but a waste toxin perspective. Now, that coupled with additives, preservatives, flavorings, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, injected or inhaled or ingested.
Eaten, yeah.
All of these things work to, it's not one thing at parts per million. If it were, we could deal with it. We've got a great, in fact, we're dealing with parts per million, millions of things per hour, and we're alive. Now, not in great health, because now it's normal for a kid to have a chronic disease like I had. It wasn't as normal then. My parents' generation wasn't normal at all. It was radically weird. Now it's very typical for a kid to have asthma, attention deficit, allergies are commonplace. We can go on and on, even with arthritic conditions like I had. We're seeing rheumatoid arthritis in children, autoimmune conditions. All of these things start, like Chinese medicine has been saying for about 5,000 years. That's all 5,000 years they've been saying the liver is the key to everything, the key to all healing. Now, if the liver is supposed to work here and it's working here, that's not off a lot, but all disease, any disease becomes possible, even at that level. Now, the fact is most Americans may be much lower than that, and it becomes more severe. And yet everything we do to address disease in a Western allopathic setup or system is to put poisons into the body to suppress the symptoms that are telling us our liver's not working. And of course, by doing that, we increase the burden of the liver. It functions even less and less. We overwhelm it even more and more. And so the whole concept of, shooting out the warning light, right? They talk about, well, your engine light goes on and says, check the engine. A doctor would be equivalent to saying, let's just unplug it or just shoot it out with a drug. And of course, oh, now you're fine. Go on your merry way. The light's gone, right? And that's the whole idea of suppressing symptoms. We don't do that as homeopaths or anybody in a natural realm. It isn't that we can't relieve your suffering. We can along the way, but not in the same way. We don't want to suppress it. Now, with liver congestion, how do you know? Besides the question, are you breathing? Do you have headaches, right? Do you have digestive problems? Do you have constipation? Do you have sinus issues? Do you have allergies? Do you have fatigue? Are you fatigued? It's not just a lack of caffeine, right?
Right.
These are all signs of liver congestion, but you don't get that from the doctor because by the time they recognize there's a liver problem, you probably have hepatitis or cirrhosis. They don't recognize congestion, mild congestion. They don't have a tool for it. They don't promote detoxification. They think it's crazy when I talk in terms of detoxification. Oh, that's only for old people who are drug addicts. What? Our liver, is it just the spring, right? We do our spring cleanses. Sure. The liver doesn't work the rest of the year. We just do a spring, it's all the time. And yet everything we do every day seems to abuse it. Now, from a homeopathic perspective, I utilize drainage remedies, which is the French word for drainage, which sounds really great. If you're a plumber in France, you work with drainage, right? Really exotic. You're drainage here, you're a plumber. But here we're talking about working with accelerating or restoring, not hyper-stimulating, right? We want to get it back to where it is. So I'll work with remedies like Bryonia alba, Nux vomica, Chelidonium, and there are many others, Taraxacum, which is the dandelion. There are equivalents in the herbal plant kingdom as well. There are also supplemental remedies. If we talk about the most important trace mineral for the liver, we talk about selenium, which is important for many things. But again, I come back to whole food forms of these supplements as opposed to what do you call these USP isolates. That was the big thing. And I recognize that you can use them to some benefit, but to some degree, if you use too much of the wrong kind of even a supplement, it can be harmful. But the whole food form is not so. So I typically will advise 200 micrograms of a whole food form of selenium every day as a preventive maintenance. And I've seen using more of it safely without getting selenotoxic via the right form in cases of severe immune compromise, severe liver dysfunction, upwards of levels that I won't say here, but suffice it to say it's a very good medicine. But Jonathan Emord, my friend who has beaten the FDA 7 times now, over selenium, where the government, the Fear and Death Administration, I call them. They don't want you to know that selenium counteracts and prevents and reverses cancer, for instance.
Yep.
But selenium is important. I mentioned the GTF chromium plays a role in liver function as well. But here's one thing, we love to drink coffee. How about putting it in the other end? The use of coffee enemas or green tea enemas is something that is the most powerful medicine on the planet. My dear friend Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez, one of the top medical doctors for cancer therapy, pancreatic cancer, advises his patients, first thing he's doing are these coffee enemas, because it's delivering caffeine not to the adrenals, but to the liver, to stimulate the bile ducts to open and dump the toxins right back out into the colon for immediate elimination. So we're dealing with diseases of toxicity, deficiency, inflammation, all related to the same thing. And if we don't correct the liver, first and foremost, along with digestion intestines, when we're putting the cart before the horse as far as healing is concerned, and we don't recognize that all of those disparate symptoms come back to that liver that we abuse so readily here in the West.